When we started, for example, our first month, we did 100K. Everybody knows that 90% of the results you get come from the fundamentals.
Do more work than anyone else in your industry and you will have more success than anyone else. Okay, welcome Andres. How are you, man?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good too. Like, really happy to have you here. I think it would be like very interesting to have a US guy like in the French market. I think like most of French people know you with your content on Instagram. Like I saw a lot of my friends in the sales industry following you on Instagram. So I think some of them will know you. Can you like present yourself for those who don't know yet?
Yeah, the short synopsis on my story is I got into sales 2 years ago when I was 16. And a year later, I became the #1 sales rep in the largest B2C sales training company in the world. And I was out collecting the rest of that team 8 versus 1 by myself. And then fast forward another year, now I'm the co-founder and Impact team where we got 40,000 members in 6 months and around $500,000 a month in revenue, trying to make sales education accessible to everybody. That's the mission.
Okay.
So that's like my
Amazing.
20-second synopsis.
Yeah, 20 seconds. So you started sales like really young because you are 18, right?
Yeah, I'm 18 now. I started when I was 16.
Okay, 16. Wow, really young. What makes you like wanted to starting sales at this age?
I think it was really interesting because for me, I got into it as an accident. Like I started with an agency and I was like, I want to make as much money as I can with this, et cetera. And I got to a certain point where I got to 36K a month. So it wasn't bad, but I kind of hit this cap where you realize I'm a 16-year-old kid. I know jack shit about business. I don't know how to run operations or manage a team or anything else. And I'm still in high school at this point. And so I'm having to do all of that with like 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
And so then eventually it just fell apart. And after it fell apart, then I had to do a lot of reflecting, right? Because I was in this state of mind where 16-year-old kid was making all this money. And I was like, oh my God, I'm rich forever. And all of a sudden it's gone. And so then when I started thinking about it, I was like, well, what is my core strength? Like, what is the one thing that I'm good at that I can obsess over? And for me, it was sales. And so that's what led me to be like, I'm going to go fully into sales. I'm going to obsess over this 18 hours a day for fucking 2 years and just crush it. And that's what I ended up doing.
So you put all into sales. Me too, like it was an accident if we think about it, because I had like a web agency. And as you like, I was in high school and I had the web agency. I was running it and someone closed me like for sales mentorship to scale my web agency. Like it was not like the best fit to scale a web agency with sales. Like,
I can imagine.
So he just closed me to take money, of course. But so I entered into sales like this, and I saw that sales is good. Like it's very interesting. So I go into sales with this. Afterwards, my web agency crashed. So I got.
It's funny. Like we're like literally identical because I also started in the agency space, and I also invested into sales training. And it was with a guy, he's a buddy of mine now, Tony Lee. And obviously now he doesn't really do like that much sales or whatever. Like I was just complete shit back then. So I was like, great. And I think I paid for like 3 months of coaching, 1 call per week or something. He literally gave me 2 sessions. He never even gave me the rest of it. He gave me 2 sessions, did not deliver any of the shit that he promised. But he connected me with Yosh, my current business partner, and that led everywhere now. It's really interesting because I think when you invest, the biggest value you usually get out of it is not what you're expecting to get, like almost ever.
Yeah, like you invest in something, you think like it would bring you something, and it bring you like totally different things. Like it was the same for me, and like we have the same story, but like my first mentor didn't deliver everything. Like I was supposed to have like group coaching. I didn't have anything of that. Like I was just calling him on WhatsApp some days, and I was like, how can I scale my web agency? He was like, yeah, do cold calls, it will work. I was like, okay, I will cold call. So yeah, basically the same thing. But we started.
That's hilarious.
These are like young. Like I started I think I was 1 year. Yeah, I was 17, I think. So yeah, we started very young. Because there is like a lot of young guys starting businesses today. What is your experience with having a business at this age, like at 16, 17, 18?
My opinion is it's almost never a good idea. Okay. And the reason why is because you need to be very realistic with yourself. If you're a 15 or 16-year-old kid who has no skills, the only advantage that you have is your time and your focus. Yeah. That's it. The only advantage you have over the 40-year-old or the 50-year-old who's been in it for 30 years is your ability to focus and the amount of time that you can dedicate, because they have a family, they have other things, other commitments. They can't put that level of focus and intensity. And so the issue is, if you try starting a business when you're 15 with no experience, you're splitting that focus into 10 different skills. In a business, you need to know marketing, sales, product, operations, team leadership. Like, you need to know all these different things, and you're splitting your focus between 5 or 6 different skills. So you're never going to master any of them. You're getting rid of the one advantage you have. Versus if you just go, well, you know what? My ultimate advantage that I have right now is the fact that I can focus and I have time. Well, great. Let's pick one skill then, and then put all of my focus, all my time towards that one thing. Because the way that you make a lot of money is by becoming better than anybody else at doing one thing. It could be a specific software that you start. It could be sales. It could be marketing. It could be operations. Like, it could be any of those individual things, but it's about picking one. And then once you pick one of them and you master that thing, and this is what you've done as well now, just like I have, you pick one thing and then you build an entire business around that one thing later in your career once you have more experience. For example, for us, sales. When I want to, let's say when I want to market, what's my marketing? Just me talking about sales. Me taking sales calls and posting clips. What's my sales? How do I convert those leads into clients? Well, I sell them. So it's still sales. How do I deliver? I teach the companies sales. So it's all just
everything
sales.
Comes back to, everything comes back to sales. Exactly. I couldn't agree more on this, because like everyone started, like we all started with this, like you, me, web agency, e-commerce, trading, everything. But like trading can work, but all of the other businesses, I think it's way more complicated to have success in those businesses than in just one main competence. And it can be like sales, like copywriting, like ads, everything, but focus on one main skill. This is what gave me the success I was looking for, because before that I was looking for like business opportunity, like the new trend, the new business. And I had the same realizations. I knew that when you focus on one specific skill and you become way better than others at these specific skills, money flows to you like naturally, because you are better. People want to pay you for this specific skill, and you can and you grow businesses based on that skill. So
And I'll say, like, there's a direct correlation between you having skills that other people cannot obtain, you being able to do things that other people cannot do, and the amount of money you make. That's why if you look at an Uber driver, you look at a barista or somebody who works at a coffee, like any of these, why do they not make a lot of money? Because I could hop in that fucking car and start picking up orders too. Like anybody can do it. So it's not valuable. But if you have a skill that you're better than anybody else at, that's when you get paid the most. Even if you're a driver, for example, instead of being an Uber driver, if you became the best driver in the world and you made your clients so happy and you started driving around, becoming a driver in Rolls-Royce Cullinans with billionaire clients, you still make the most money because you're the best. So becoming the best at like any one thing puts you in that position. That example that you gave a second ago, copywriting, for example, that's a great example. If you look at somebody like Ravi Abuvala, I don't know if you know him. Ravi, his entire business is built on what? His marketing skill. How does he market? He talks about marketing. How does he sell people? He doesn't do sales calls. He sells with copy. How does he deliver for his clients? He teaches the copywriting and the marketing that he already knows. So the entire business is around his one skill that he's mastered. And you can pick that skill for anything.
These skills make everything else easier. Like if you master one skill, everything else is easier. And you can,
absolutely.
Absolutely. And like something with sales is that it's one of the common traits with like billionaires, millionaires. Like, do you think, in my opinion, if you want to grow a business, like with doing a lot of money, you have like to have this skill specifically, like sales, like something related to sales. I think if you want to grow a business, I think it's one of the most important one. Like, I don't see any other skill that you can have that could have more leverage than sales into launching a business. I don't know if you have another opinion on this, but I think.
No, I agree completely. I mean, if you look at statistics, 70% of self-made billionaires started in sales. And I think the reason why is because like there comes a certain point where when you're trying to become like ultra wealthy, like once you're already like a multimillionaire, but now you're trying to get like billionaire status or like 9-figure status, whatever it is, there comes a certain point where if you're really good at marketing, for example, it can help, but you can also just hire the best marketer. But the difference is when you get to 9 figures and now you're trying to become a billionaire, your main method of getting even richer is by acquiring other companies and selling companies and doing these massive mergers and deals and things of that sort, IPOing, like all these other things. You can only do that if you're very, very good at negotiating. If not, you just get ran over. And so like, that's why I think that skill is so important, because it's the one that you use at any point in your life, no matter where you're at financially, relationships, whatever.
Yeah, of course. And you mentioned something really interesting, like have an unfair advantage. Like for example, the casual, the average Uber driver doesn't have any unfair advantage. For myself, like the unfair advantage that I have right now is that I learned from the US market, so I have like more advanced, more sophisticated strategies like on closing on sales, and this is my unfair advantage on the French market, because everyone has like the same methods, the same strategies, like for years now. So I came with like new strategies, like more sophisticated ones. So it's easier for me to like have a differentiation. How do you differentiate from your like competitors? Like, what's your unfair advantage, do you think?
I think my unfair advantage is our UVP, which is that we're able to make sales so simple. Like, that's the difference. So for example, when we were running the largest B2C sales training company in the world, that was doing $40 million a year, and we were an Inc. 500 company, everybody knows the founder of that company or whose company it is, right? Yeah. But there's a reason Yash and I were in charge of training that entire team and managing that team and recruiting the entire team, and not that founder. Because whenever we brought in a new rep who's 18, 19, 20 years old, we could get him in 3 days trained up and on dials and making sales. Yeah. Nobody else could. Because we could simplify it to a level where it was super implementable and it was very, very easy to understand. And so I think that's our UVP. Like, people don't understand that. Well, really, they understand it, but it's very different to understand something versus to use it. Everybody knows that 90% of the results you get come from the fundamentals of anything you do. In soccer, learning how to pass properly, learning how to run with the ball, like that's 90% of it, right? In sales, like great, having your scripting, your body language, your verbal cues. But then the issue is, in this market, you have all these sales trainers and gurus and stuff who sound cool or have the new thing. And so when they start promoting stuff like NLP or like all these different tricks, and it's like, motherfucker, you don't know what NLP is. Like, I've studied NLP. You don't even know who fucking started NLP. You read Sleight of Mouth, the book, a single time and thought you'd mastered it. Or you got a fucking PDF shortened version of the book. Like, even worse. And so I think the advantage that we have is like, I will never compromise client results and people actually learning and us fulfilling our mission for just having the new thing or going on a little spurt of viewers or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And so fundamentally, I think after enough time passes, like when we started, for example, our first month, we did 100K. I think our first month with Impact Team.
Pretty good.
Yeah, but decent, right? and especially coming from being a sales rep, very different world. And as soon as that happened, I was like, making money is never going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Like that's the easy part. Like there's like yesterday, for example, which to be fair, this was a massive day for us. Like we usually don't do numbers like that, but yesterday we did 70K, right? And that's like at, I don't know, 90% margins or something. And I was like, there's never going to be an issue with making money. So the only thing we have to focus on, and if you look at any of the largest companies in the world, the only thing they focus on is how can I create word of mouth referrals and how can I have the best product possible? Because once you get into a certain size of market or industry, if you want to be the number one, if you want to be this tiny little competitor making fucking 20K a month, do your thing, be happy. But if you want to be like the best guy in the industry and you want to massively grow, word of mouth is the number one way to do it. Because word of mouth is going to be in any business. The question is it positive or is it negative word of mouth? And so I'd say that's our one UVP, is our ability to get people results quickly. Even though most of the training is completely free, or we have a VIP group that's fucking $97 a month. And that's the only thing we sell like on the B2C side. But our ability to get results with that better than most people get with their fucking $10,000 programs.
Yeah, of course. Like referrals is very, like when you grow a business, it's like the basics. Like a lot of people, I think, forget it because like we are in an era where we are like online businesses. But if we came back to the root of businesses, like every business is using like referrals to grow. And if you have like the best testimonials, you have like the best clients coming. Like it's a positive circle.
We did our math, and I think it was 30% of every dollar that we've made has been through a referral.
Yeah.
30%, which is massive.
And
this will apply to everybody, and you'll understand this. You need to think of every market like a pond. It's like a little lake. And inside that lake, you have all these little fishes. Little fishies swimming around, they bump into each other. Let's pretend they talk English and they start talking to each other, right? If you have one fishy and he goes in and he had a bad result, a bad experience with you, Now he's going to go and tell all the other fishies. And then eventually everybody in that pond, every little fishy, going to know that you're a bad fishy, bad fishy. And then nobody wants to buy from you.
Yeah,
but if you create the positive, you grow.
It goes really fast when you started to have like bad reviews, bad experiences in your products. It goes like really fast. I had the same thing like maybe 3 days ago. Like I have one of my clients that I bring from like 2K a month to being head of sales on 2 different offers and making more than 10 grand a month. And like he bring me maybe 3 to 4 clients that was coming in and saying just, yes, send me the payment link. I'm already sold. Like, I know you can help me. Just send me the payment link. You have client coming in just because you have like good reviews and good experiences with clients. So yeah, it's like very powerful. Totally
exactly.
Agree.
Yeah, that's spot on. And it's like we'll even have just like that. We'll have companies that we train their team and their entire conversion rate went up, I don't know, 50%, 100%. And then they go to the rest of the team, and whenever they're recruiting or hiring new people, they literally go, oh, you have to get into their shit. Like, we're not going to hire you unless you buy their shit. And it's like, okay, well, that's what we want. So, it's referral-based.
How many people did you train from the start?
Well, if you're talking about like group training and everything else, inside of the Impact team, we just crossed 42,000 members, I believe, in 7 months,
Amazing.
7.5 months.
Are you like the largest program in the US or? Yeah. Okay, pretty nice at 18, right? And do you close like for? I think you stopped like closing for other people, right? Like you don't have to.
No, I still do, but the way I do it now is a little bit differently. So the way we do our delivery on the B2B side, so like with corporate clients and stuff, is we'll bring on an offer. And then either Yash or I will take a couple of calls for that offer and like sell it and stuff. Because then we take those sales call recordings and then we use that to train the team of the company that we're helping. So those are the calls I take, but I probably only take 1 or 2 a day.
Yeah. So you have like maximum data to train the teams.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you have your program. You have you are also training sales team. Do you have like any other activities, or those 2 are the main you have?
I mean, that's the majority. Like we have that free group, we have the VIP group, and then we do the B2B side, like that training. We do like some recruitment and other stuff like that as well, but that's not really paid. We just do that kind of for free and to help out the training clients that we have.
And I was asking, did you ever sell like on the European market or just in the US?
I actually have, but not necessarily like a European offer. It was selling an American offer where there's a lot of European leads. And so it's definitely a little bit different. So like I went to, we had a mini event in Paris. What was that, like 2 months ago, month and a half ago? We had a mini event in Paris.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Exactly. And it's really interesting because the mentality of European people, I'm also half Italian, so like I already kind of knew it. The mentality of European people when you're selling them is a little bit different. So you do have to adjust because people are a lot more used to acting out of comfort or like playing it safe, et cetera. Then in the European market, there's more kind of like, oh, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. But it's also a benefit because if you can get the logical certainty part down and really get them to understand like logistically that it makes sense, they're also a lot more willing to do it. Versus in America, they're a lot more emotional. So even if they think logically they have to do it, they sometimes still won't.
Yeah, exactly. That's why like I probably spend like maybe 6 months to like adapt and like nuance like the US strategies to make it very usable and very like precise on the French market, because like mentality are a little bit different. Like French people don't have like a credit card, everything is just so they are more conservative with their money. Like for French people, spending maybe like 12K in a program is like very, very, very high ticket. Like in the US, 12K is not that much. Like it's the average high ticket program. And in
what are the main changes you made in the like in terms of your process in the European market?
What is my process?
Like what were the main changes you made about your process to be able to take it to the European market?
I think is specifying like on the emotional part. Have more nuance, like very adapt to each people. Like you have to do this also in US, like to adapt every part to each people. But in France, like because I close people like maybe 60 years old, and French people 60 years old, it's a bad combo, to sell high ticket. Like they have like very conservative online program. So you have to adjust, and like you say, like have this logical part really, really down. Like have a good logical part, and you can't solve just on the emotional part. You have to have a good understanding of both to like do a good mix. But I would like to have your opinion on this. One main error, like French and European sales reps do is that they totally they don't use emotional, they are just logic. But if you look at things, we are mentalities are different, but we sell to humans like US or French or Italian or Indians. We all are humans, so we all buy from emotion, then justify
Absolutely.
it by logic. So it's pretty the same principles. It's just little adjustments you will make in your process, in the introduction, before the call, after the call, everything. But it's the same principles. If you look at it, we all are humans. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the same. The only difference, obviously everybody makes decisions out of emotion and all that. The only difference, I think, is how you get to the emotion. So somebody in the American market, for example, you could ask them an emotional question very directly and they'll answer it. Somebody in the European market, when I was telling a lot of people there, I would always go more logistics first. And even I would ask them instead of just going into oh, what would that do for you personally or any of that? That would not work. Then I would go into you being able to lose 50 pounds, what would that allow you to do?
Yeah,
and get more logical answers first, and then transition that into emotion.
Yeah, of course. And something I use a lot is contextualization. With French people, it work really good. Contextualize most of my questions, on impact, everything. Every emotional question, not every, but it's most of the time I contextualize my question to have the good answer at the first time I ask it. Because, and it lowers the resistance because French people. For example, a 60-year-old guy, if you just ask him how does that impacted you in the past 2 years, maybe he will be, it doesn't impact me. What are you talking about, little kid? So and if you contextualize it, most of the time it's better. So
yeah, I agree completely.
One thing I also see, I saw a video someone I think reacting to one of my videos on my Instagram, to my video, and he say we can't use analogies, reframe, all of this. We can't use this in B2B. My opinion is that we can use it in B2C, B2B. You just have to adapt it and just not saying the same thing. But you can use reframe analogy in B2B because one time again, you sell to humans, even people in B2B are humans, so you can make emotional phase and everything. And a lot of sales rep in France and a lot of people already said that to me. You can't use emotional with B2B prospects. What is your opinion on this? I think yes, you can, of course.
I think it's very interesting. I think I agree with you completely. I think absolutely you can do the emotion. It's very similar selling B2B versus selling European people in a sense, where you always need to go after the logic first and then the emotions. If I'm trying to get emotion out of a B2B client, then first I'm going to go, oh, you being able to do X, Y, Z, what would that mean for the business? And I'm going to future base that. Oh, well, it's going to do X and Y and Z, blah, blah, blah. Now they future base that. And then I go, and you being able to do blah, 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 with the business, what would that even mean for you, as the owner? And so it's a much more soft way to ask the same question versus if I were to go oh, what would that do for you personally? They're going to be the fuck are you talking about?
Exactly. I think people saying that you can't use emotion in B2B or even in classic sales B2C, it's because they don't know how to use emotion properly.
Yeah, they're just shit. They just can't do it.
Just that's really sales word. Fuck them.
Yeah. Yeah, because they got to understand any sale, it does not matter if it's B2B or B2C or anything, it's all emotion based. If I'm talking to an executive or whatever, he wants to be on better footing with the owner. He wants to get a salary raise. He wants to be in charge of more people on his team. He wants to everybody has some emotional thing that they want. And then it's your ability to be able to get that out of them that determines how successful you are. Most people are just not good at asking those questions. So they try and ask some kind of emotional question. They don't get an answer and they go, oh, this shit does not work. You can't do that. In B2B, you can't get any emotion. It's no, you're just fucking terrible at what you do.
Yeah, of course. And one thing to this that helped me also a lot is the 6 human needs, because when you start closing people making already 10, 20, 30 grand a month, a lot of people struggle to have pain and have pain to have this emotion. But when you start to understand the 6 human needs, you understand that people also have emotion, but based on different things, different point of focus. People want to make more money, some of other people want to just have more recognition, people have different goals in their life, and you just have to figure out what is the main goal of this person right now. So
exactly,
this helped me a lot.
Yeah, I agree completely. The 6 human, people don't understand, and people think of humans and psychology and the human brain as this machine with magical thoughts that pop up, but very much, and actually it's a little bit scary because I started studying a lot of AI stuff because I had to for a lot of the product stuff that we were building, and you start to realize the way that AI thinks is literally a copy and paste of the human brain, just with less input points.
Yeah.
Like that's literally what it is.
Yeah.
Like human brains think with patterns. You have certain things that happen to you early in your childhood. For example, you might have, I don't know, your mom doesn't show you a lot of love, doesn't give you a lot of validation. And then your entire life, you're just seeking love and validation after that.
Exactly.
So like you have very classical patterns that happen, and the human brain to many degrees is like a machine.
Yeah.
Right now, I think we have souls, and you can talk about all that, but that's not active in how you make decisions on a day-to-day basis. And so like the human brain to many degrees is a machine. And if you understand the code of that machine, it allows you to change how anybody makes decisions.
Yeah.
The 6 human needs, and then you talk about the rules that allow people to achieve those needs and all those things. Because then that allows you to shift what they value. If you shift what they value, it shifts the decisions that they make. If somebody values certainty 100% and you get to the end of a sales call, and you're trying to pitch them 20 grand and they have to take out a loan, they're never going to do that shit.
Yeah, you have to
But if you
shift
get them to
the
value
uncertainty, yeah.
Exactly. If you get them to value uncertainty more, or even to make it more interesting, if you even shift the rules around certainty, then you get the same outcome.
Yeah.
Somebody could be like, oh, I want to stay in my 9-to-5 job because it gives me a lot of certainty and I've done it for 20 years. Somebody else can go, I fucking hate my job so much. This is a piece of shit job. I hate it here. I want to fucking shoot myself.
Yeah.
It's more certain for me to start the business and to invest than it is for me to stay. And so
Like
there's a lot of ways you can approach it.
You associate like pain with the actual certainty of the job, so the actual certainty become uncertainty and like pain, so you don't want to continue in this way. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, something I realized, like I don't see a lot of people like with US method in France, etc., etc. And something I realized, and I spoke about that in my last videos. Like I made a 5 hours course on closing on YouTube, and
I have like a 3-hour course coming out in like a couple of days.
I made 5 hours, bro. You have to make like 10 hours. You are
I
in a
need
bigger
to catch
market.
up now.
No, but yeah, seriously, I spoke about that, and I was like, everyone in France, and I think in Europe, but I mainly know the French market. So everyone in France has the same methods for like maybe 5 years. Like for the past 5 years, they have the exact same script with the same first phrase, with the same second phrase, and everything is the same. So prospects have heard like the same sentences for maybe like 10 times. So it triggers a lot of resistance, and people don't understand that the market is way more sophisticated than before. Something that really helped me close more is like not saying the same sentences than other closers. Depending on what I'm saying, that this is not the most important part, just not saying the same things, just saying different things and saying things differently. And this helped me to like lower the resistance of people and have people to open more and to like being more in the conversation and being able to have more emotional, more logic, more everything to close the deal.
I agree completely. And that ties into like a problem that I see really commonly in this industry, which is that so many of the sales trainers or gurus or whatever, they try and convince other people to sell like them.
Yeah.
But the issue is the people you're teaching don't necessarily have the same personality as you. So that's not possible. And so like, if you try and get every single person to just sell like you, if for me, for example, I'm very aggressive. That's my personality type.
Yeah.
And so if I try and teach somebody who's very passive or very non-confrontational how to sell like me, they're going to fucking fall apart and have a mental breakdown every call. And so like you need to show people as a trainer as well, which I know you do this, you need to show people how to adapt your current process to sound like yourself, to make it authentic to you. That's why like Yosh, for example, he was my first, I guess, mentor in sales, if you will. Now he's obviously my business partner, and he has a very different style than I do. Even all of his objection, like he uses perspective frames. I use certainty frames, which I came up with myself, but it's because it resonates more with me. It's my style.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I think too many people try and be this copy and paste kind of bullshit closer, and that just does not work.
For me, there is like two main errors in like the structure of a sales call. The first one is to have a script and to use the same script with everyone. And the second one is to have no script, no structure, nothing, and to go like with feeling. Because in both ways, you don't like listen really carefully as a person, and you always, if you don't have any script, any structure, any like frame, you are just like, what can I say next? Like, oh shit, I don't know what to say. Oh, give me this objection. Feeling, it's too expensive compared to what? Like, and you say shitty sentences. And if you have a script, like it's the same for everyone, so it makes no sense. So for me, the solution to this is like to have like different phases and to being able to like alternate between these phases and like being very fluent and like very adaptable between those phases and like to just let the conversation flows, but to have some patterns in mind, like some patterns of question and some outcomes. Outcome is very important to me, like just checking some outcomes during the call to have all the different elements necessary to the sale. And I don't know if you have another opinion on this, but for me, it's the main thing. Like in France, I think this is the real stats, my statistic, but I think 75% of sales rep have a script like word by word and just following this. And the first phase is like, oh, what's the weather? Oh, it's going on. Good day? Yeah, perfect. Me too. Like, and everyone is saying this, and I'm like, fuck, change that. Like, you can do a lot.
No, I know what you mean. I think there's two sides to it. So the part about not having a script, yeah, I agree with you. That's retarded. It's like, that doesn't work. Like, people think, oh, you have to be authentic. Well, what does that mean? Authentic. If you were to put Donald Trump, the president, in front of me, I'm going to speak to him very differently than I speak to my mom.
Yeah.
Are they both authentic? Yeah. But I'm adapting a certain version of me, a certain mask of me to the situation I'm in to get a certain outcome that I want. Like, you have to be able to shift yourself and adapt. That has nothing to do with being authentic. Like, that's nothing to do with it, right? Like, you need some kind of process. Most people, the only way that you're actually able to use the psychology tricks or the manipulation things to help them without having a script is if you've been through some deep kind of trauma or something in your life to where that just becomes a subconscious way to deal with situations, if you will, which most people have not been through that. Mm-hmm. And on the flip side, and this is where I think there's two sides to it as well. When you say, oh, you can't have a word for word script, like you need to be fluid and everything else, I agree once you're very, very good. At the same time though, I think once you're trying to become good, and like if you're not making, I don't know, 10K a month or 20K a month, 30K a month, I think to some degree there is a lot of benefit in having a word for word script. And the reason why is because if every call you're being very, very fluid and you're switching from stage to stage to stage and adapting the conversation, you don't have a foundation. And so the way that I think about sales and improvement is like, if you were to improve 10% a month on your process for 12 months, how much do you improve at the end of the 12 months? And most people say, oh, it's 120%. But no, it compounds. It's around like 300% about because it's compounding. Yeah. But the issue is if every call you have is completely different because you're always being fluid and everything else, you don't have a foundation to compound on because you're always changing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so I agree with you in the sense of once you get especially really good, like once you cross 50K a month and now you're trying to get to 100, you need to be able to be fluid. But at the same time, as you're trying to get to that point, there needs to be a certain structure that you follow every single call because then that's what allows you to improve consistently, which I'm sure obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, totally agree on that. Yeah, but when you say like word by word, we agree that you don't have like a really word by word when you're saying always the same first sentence, the same first, second sentence, everything. Like you change basically like something between people and between like the energy of the call. You don't like use the same exact wording.
I have, the way I do it is on my scripts, I have the word for word question and then I have the blanks. It's like the fill in the blanks word. That's where you add the context of the prospect. So then obviously if it's somebody who's more aggressive, then you're going to change different parts of it. If somebody who's more passive, you're going to be more direct with them. So like there's definitely different changes that need to be made. And we just have a base script to follow the structure.
Totally agree with you. And the way I mean it, like when I say like also doesn't have like a main script is like some people will go like, okay, do you have the time for this? Yeah, you have the time. Okay, perfect. And what's your main problem right now? Oh, your problem is like, oh, you don't have enough money. Okay, why? Oh, because this. Okay, like they just pass question by question and don't like going deeper in each question. So they just surface level and just following the script without understanding like the principles of the sales, like to go deeper and to probe on each phase and each element, you know?
Yeah, that I agree completely. And most people like elements of a good script, in my opinion, and this is where I think a lot of people mess up, is you should have a script of the questions you're asking, and you should have a second script, which is the answers you're looking for.
Yeah.
And so on a sales call, even after I'd mastered my process and everything else, and like I obviously didn't need to read it off a script. Like I'd mastered it. You could wake me up at fucking 2 a.m. and I know it like the back of my hand. But I still had a doc pulled up on the side in every sales call that literally just had the answers I was looking for. And for me, it was like a checkbox. Like I got the answer, boom, check. I got the answer, boom, check. That way you always probe deep enough and you're never holding back, and so you're always getting the answers you need. And then that's what allows you to be great. You should be a lot more focused on the outcomes you're looking for than the questions you're asking, because if you know the outcomes you're looking for, you're going to ask the right questions to get it anyways.
Yeah, totally agree. Like, couldn't agree more on that, because a lot of people, like, they ask a question, prospect give an answer, but not the good answer, like a pretty vague answer, like just aside the answer, the good answer we are looking, and they pass and they say, okay, it's pretty good answer. And now you just have to re-ask the question with a different way, and so you can have like the answer you are looking for at the first time. And it's just going back to the same question again and again until you have like the answer you are looking for, with adding like contextualization, like everything to have the same answer, but asking the question differently so you don't trigger resistance. And like a lot of people don't understand that, so they haven't the good answer to the question and they pass. And at the end, it ends like with a, I need to think about it.
Exactly. And what you just said right there is so important, the looping. Because another really common mistake is a lot of people will be on sales calls and the prospect doesn't give them an answer. Yeah. And they're like, oh shit, I'll get it later. And then they move on.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck are you doing? Like, you ask a question because you need an answer. And psychologically, I mean, everything that I talk about always comes from a psychology perspective, because that's what I've studied. That's what I've obsessed over. I've gone through all the Harvard, Yale psychology courses, everything. And from a psychology perspective, it's like humans are very much like sheep or like dogs. It's like the way you train a dog with Pavlovian conditioning, classical conditioning, operant conditioning, like all that same stuff applies to humans as well. And like on a sales call, if you ask somebody a question, they don't give you an answer and you move on, what are you teaching them? If I ask you hard shit, you don't have to answer.
Yeah, you don't have to answer my question, so they will don't answer the whole call.
Exactly. And then you're just cooked, because then they're not going to do it the entire time. And then imagine if they don't give you an answer in the first 30 seconds of the call. Now you're going to objection handling after you pitch them 30 grand. Now you expect them to give you the answers?
Yeah.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like it's very like it's a basic one, but a very missed one. Like I think a lot of people miss this, honestly. And I was missing it too at the start. And it's like you don't have the answer, you go into something else. You don't have like the element to make the sales like going forward. Like you just stay at the same point with basic logical question during the whole call.
Exactly.
So yeah,
I'm curious on your thoughts on this. For me, like the skill that I mastered outside of sales to get even better at sales was psychology and manipulation and understanding both of them. What skills do you think outside of sales allow you to like master sales itself?
I think one of the best ROI you can have, and I think I already heard you talk about this too, is like master like your tonality and body language. So body language first, which will lead to tonality, because if you have like the good body language, if you are like this, like you will have an hesitating tone, like a curious tone. So I think body language and tonality is very important, and it's one of the things I try to master to have like the best sales results, because if you have the good tonality, what you say, it's like less important. Like someone with the perfect tonality but with pretty average wordings will have better results than someone with good wordings but shitty tonality. So I mastered tonality and body language to have the better outcome of my words, and like the combo of tonality, body language, and the good wording, I think this is the key for me.
Yeah, I agree completely. Because I was obviously already like very good at the body language and all that stuff, but then I was like, I want to get even better, even from just a speaking perspective. So I literally paid Leonardo DiCaprio's acting coach for one-on-ones, just to like learn the body language and the speaking and the pacing and all that, because it's so important. Like that changes completely people's perception of you and their ability to give you answers and literally everything.
Yeah, and this is another thing. Like when people, sometimes like I heard some closers saying to me like, yeah, I asked an impact question and he didn't give me any impact. Why? And I'm like, just look at your tonality, just listen to your tonality.
You'll review the call and they're like, you have the XYZ problem, how did that have an impact on you? And it's like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing?
What's the impact on you? Like, bro, give a bit of tonality, because like your tonality is supposed to like condition the answer of the prospect. Like your tonality should suppose that the answer should be bad. Like if you're asking an impact question, your tonality should say, oh, it's shitty, it's a very bad situation. If your tonality says nothing, the answer will be nothing. Like it's
exactly. And that plays in everything as well. Like even if you're thinking about like verbal cues, for example, and you're saying like, yeah, really, right. If I'm speaking to somebody and they're talking about something positive because I'm future pacing them, Another mistake closers will make, somebody will be talking about, oh my God, I could be with my kids again. I'd be reunited with my family. And they're like, okay, yeah, right. Yeah. It's like, fuck are you doing? You need to go upwards. Like, oh, really, man? Like that's amazing. And then if you're trying to go down for consequence, like, I'm sorry to hear that. And it has to end on a downward inflection. Yeah. So yeah, that thing of mirroring, like the emotion, that's so important because emotions in psychology are like waves. Like waves, if you think about like physics, obviously I don't know that much about physics because I studied it for like 6 months before I dropped out. But anyways, I'll give a quick masterclass. If you have waves going at each other, if they're the same frequency and they collide, what happens? They double in size. They unite, they combine. If you have two waves of different frequencies coming at each other and they collide, they cancel each other out. They both go to zero. And it's like you need to be on the same frequency as them in terms of your energy in order to make their energy and their emotion even higher or even lower if you're consequence.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I have an anecdote on this. Like, when I started sales, I was very, very, very bad at this. Like, having the good tonality. This is why I focused on this. Because when I started, I remember, and one of my previous mentors told me this, like, when a prospect was saying me, maybe, like, it's very hard, like, I don't have enough money, like, I can't buy enough food for my family. And after this, I was like, oh, amazing. And I was like, oh, amazing, as he was saying a lot of bad things. And I was, oh, amazing, man. Like, it was very bad. At start, I was like this. So this is why I focused on this, because I was very bad with tonality.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's massively important to getting emotion out of prospects.
What's your craziest, like, give me some crazy anecdote, like people want to hear crazy anecdote. What's your craziest anecdote on sales, like a sales call, something like that, a prospect?
Crazy story. I have a couple of them. I have one I might actually edit this and post it on YouTube. This was really early in my like early days, and I have a Loom recording of it. And it was a 16-year-old kid who was super in fear. And back then I was really studying Tony Robbins and like how state affects your decision making and everything else. And so I was like, okay, I need to change this guy's state. Because obviously you know this as well. It's like if you're very, very tired and you do a shit ton of push-ups, it completely changes your state and your energy. Now you have more energy. And it's because there's certain anchors that change your emotion in the state that you're in. And so I was like, well, this guy's very, very fearful. If I can get him to do something physical with his body and make like a massive change, then it'll change his emotion entirely and maybe we'll make a different decision. And so we're in objection thing. We're like an hour and a half deep, I think. So I've gone through like almost all my analogies are up. Like we're an hour and a half in. I'm like, I'm not even using analogies anymore. I'm just asking like what's riskier questions and like going into his past and everything else. It's like a fucking therapy session. And in the middle, I make him do the Tony Robbins priming video with me. Okay. And this is on a Loom recording. So the one where you go up and down like this, breathing in and out, and then you do like a meditation, thinking about your goals and your aspirations. I make him do this entire thing with me on a call, and you can hear him through his microphone just like, and I'm like, holy shit, like, this is gonna work, dude. This is actually working. And so we finish it, and I go through another probably 20 minutes of objection handling even after that.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I need to do something else. I don't even know what to do at this point. I make him start doing push-ups with me on the call.
No.
We start doing push-ups together. We do like sets of 20. I think we did like 40 push-ups together. It wasn't anything crazy, but still. And eventually, he's so in his head, and this is something that a lot of people don't talk about, you can wear people's brain down. Mm-hmm. You can wear down their defense systems. How does it work whenever you have ISIS or even the fucking CIA in blacklisted sections or whatever, and they're trying to do interrogations? How does it work? They wear down your brain. When they're trying to brainwash you, what do? They wear down your brain. They get you so tired, so drained that you're just susceptible to new information. And so I basically did that with him. And I wore down his brain so much over time to where eventually he was like, dude, you know what? Fuck it. I'll do it. And he doesn't have a card. So he has to sneak into his parents' room, grab their card from them. He didn't ask them. I didn't tell him to do this, by the way. He didn't ask them. He takes the card from them, and he fucking pays the thing. And it was a split pay. I think he put like $3,000 down or something on his parents' card without asking them, sneaking into the room at like 11 p.m. at night, grabbing their card after doing all these push-ups and everything else. And last I heard of him, he was making 20 grand a month when he was 17.
He was close to death. Like you made him making like 200 push-ups and one
He
marathon.
was about to pass out. Dude, this is like a hell week for him, Navy SEALs training.
This is a good technique. I will teach this to my students. Exactly. Make the prospect make like 500 push-ups between the sales, and then you pitch, and now you can say.
Back then, I actually used to do that a lot. Not the Tony Robbins priming thing, but on sales calls, I would make prospects do push-ups with me because it would genuinely change their state, and the way they would make decisions was completely different.
Yeah, it's true. But very, very original way to close prospects.
Yeah.
Like the fitness sales rep, doing
So
push-ups.
I don't know. I might have to edit that sales call and post it or something because that was a classic. What was your crazy story?
If you edit this, like you can have a very good short on Instagram.
Exactly.
At least 10 million views.
Exactly. What was your craziest story on a sales call?
My craziest story. I have one I already like. I'm thinking of one I didn't say. I had one when like it's the basic one. I already like said this, but I had a prospect like I was challenging him. It was one of them, like one of the 60 years old dad, French dad, 60 years old, and I was challenging him. It was in the objection phase, like I was new to sales, and I was challenging him. And at the end, he told me like, you know what, fuck, like I just lose like 30 minutes of my time. Just leave me alone. I want to go to sleep. And I was like, okay, no problem, Lloyd. It was like a good time speaking to you. He was like, it was not a good time for you. Bye, fuck. And he just leaves the call. This is, it was at the start of my journey. So I was like, okay. So closing is this, like just people like bullying you in this call. But otherwise, I don't have like really crazy story. Like French people are more
conservative.
Yeah, lower energy. Like, yeah, it's complicated to make a prospect make push-ups. Like,
no, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I could. I will test it, bro. You know what? I will fucking test it, and I will put like on my Instagram. I will put the extract of someone.
Tag me. I'll repost it. I'll repost it. It also it's interesting how age affects sales as well, because when you're selling somebody young, like a 16-year-old or like a 20-year-old, you can get him to do anything. No matter the country, like I can get them to do push-ups, jumping, like whatever, like no problem. If they're that young.
Jumping from the building, let's go.
Those are maybe not from the building, but the jumping jacks, like for sure. You know what I mean? If they jump from the building, they can't give me their credit card anymore. But so like you can get young people to do basically anything you want. But older people, they've been conditioned for so long to think in a certain way that doing anything new or crazy like that just seems like out of this world. And they're like, oh, I would never do that. And so it's interesting how age affects that as well.
Yeah, like it's way easier for us, like for 18 years old sales rep to sell to 18 years old people, because like you have this connection. And one thing about that, I think, and if we really think about it, like why it's easier for us to sell to people 18 years old, it's because like we have this connection and we speak to them like our friends, and this is lowers the sales resistance because we will use terms like bro, like everything, like yeah, bro, what's up, and this puts you in like a state where you forget about the sales and you just talk like if you were talking to a friend. So you will trigger his resistance and you will be more natural, more casual, and the whole call will not sound like salesly. So you will have more results in the end.
Exactly.
If you succeed to like replicate this state of I speak to a friend with a 60-year-old man, we have like the same outcome, but it's more complicated to have like a I speak to a friend state for you when you speak to like someone 40 years older.
Exactly. And even Eli Weil talks about this. It's interesting. Superpositions. So when you talk to people, you can speak to them as a superior, as an equal, or as an inferior.
Yeah.
So like a superior would be like, you need to do this. And then if you went to like a neutral, for example, it'd be like, because like when I see you, I can tell you're somebody who is honest or this or that, whatever. Now that's inferior. Like you are, and then you start building them up. I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you're a very honest person. So like now you go into the superior, right? And so like, inferior, I mean. And I think that's a very basic version of it. there becomes a lot more advanced versions of that, though. For example, if you're speaking to an 18-year-old, like you were saying a second ago, you speak to them and it's as if you guys were friends. So like that's one version. But you always need to find some kind of relationship between you and the prospect. So if I'm selling to a 40-year-old, for example, I'll sell to them as if I was their son sometimes, from the position of like being their son. Because then if they have kids, they have to listen to what I'm saying in the basis of they want to be the best father possible.
Yeah.
So if I'm selling somebody like a biz op who works a 9 to 5 and they want to get into, I don't know, high ticket sales or whatever, let's say, just as an example, they want to get into high ticket sales. I can sell to them as a son and get them to be accountable to the fact that they need to be a better role model for their kid.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And so that gives me a level of authority and a level of closeness that even an equal, another 40-year-old could not get with them. And so you always need to find some kind of relationship that you have. If I'm selling to a 16-year-old, I'm going to take on a very superior, like more of an older brother kind of archetype. And this is studying more like Carl Jung kind of psychology and archetypal psychology and all that stuff, which is really interesting stuff. But also then more as like an older brother. Because then you just find your frame, you find your relationship with the prospect, and then that's how you approach the entire conversation. And it gives you a natural level of authority that they have built in for that kind of person. The younger brother in psychology naturally has a certain level of respect and authority for his older brother. Yeah. And so if I sell from that position, he has that. If I'm selling as somebody's son, I naturally have a certain level of respect as well and a certain level of authority. And so like you can build that by pretending to be, and really it's not pretending, but it's just communicating as that kind of person who would have that relationship, which I think is really interesting in psychology.
Yeah, very interesting. Like adapting your personality, like your positionment for the person in front of you, like lower, higher, and adapting it. Yeah, very interesting. Of course.
Exactly.
And you say something interesting too, like not pretending to, but being. And a lot of people miss it. I think you can be like intentional without being like manipulative. You know, like you can be intentional in what you do without being like I'm pretending to be. No, you're just being intentional to the goal you want to reach with this prospect specifically. And
exactly.
A lot of people saw it like, oh, he's manipulative with these people. You don't want to buy, let him.
People will be like, oh, I want to sell like me. I want to be authentic. And it's like, but what the fuck does that mean? Because the way you communicate to your parents is very different than how you communicate to me, for example.
Yeah.
And so like, you just have different masks, different versions of yourself. And when you start to look at it that way, life and sales becomes a bit of a game. Because then you can choose to create more of these masks or different faces of how you speak to people that become effective for different things.
It works also with the life in general. Like when people say, I can't change, I'm like this. Yeah, you can change, like you are like this right now, but you can make a change and have a different personality, different traits of personality afterwards. So
exactly.
You can make a change.
Exactly.
Do you have a girlfriend, Andres?
No. And I do not think what that's a little suspicious. That's a little suspicious.
Hesitating prospect.
I'm very, how do I say? I want to get married very young. I have very traditional values. I want to have kids young and everything else and start a family. And so I will speak to somebody, I'll go on dates with people, and then if I feel like, as soon as I realize this person is not going to be my wife, cut off, never speak to you again. Yeah. Like that's how I am.
I have the same.
Exactly. Yeah. And so people think that's harsh, but it's like, nah, that's just better for both of us. Yeah. Fuck am I going to waste time for?
Yeah,
and
like
so,
you don't have time to waste time with someone who will not be like your wife or
Yeah, and it's like Andrew Tate talks about this, and I agree and I disagree. He says like, oh, you need to sleep with lots of women and have lots of sex and this and that, because then if you don't, how are you going to know when you find your wife? And there's a lot of truth in that, which is that like, oh, if you don't have a lot of experiences and date a lot of people and speak to a lot of people, how will you know when you find the one for you? Now, for me, I'm very Christian, so like I'm waiting till marriage and everything else. But I still believe if I say that and then I don't go on any dates or anything, that's retarded. Because then if I eventually, when I'm 30 years old, meet one girl and I'm like, oh, you're the one for me. How the fuck would I know if I didn't speak to 100 people before that or 1,000 people before that? So you speak to as many people as you can, and that gives you the context to be able to be like, this is the person for me, or no, this is not the person for me.
Yeah. So, and if a prospect says the same thing, like if a prospect says, yeah, I will talk to 100 of sales companies and I will come back like to choose the better one, what would you say?
Well, shit, you caught me. You caught me. But
It's the same thing.
I will put it this way. It is the same thing. The difference is if you're making $0 and you need to make money now, when do you need to make money? You need to make it now. If I know I want to get married before 2030,
Yeah.
then I know I have 4 years to find the best possible person I can. And now if I have 4 years to find the best possible person I can, you better believe I'm going to speak to as many people as I possibly can in that time. Now, that does not mean I'm going to sleep with them, because then that's where I think you're disrespecting your future wife if you do that, right? But speaking to them to figure out, like, what do I want in a person? Who's the best person for me? Then that's when you do that. Same way, if I told you you're not allowed to buy sales training now, you can only buy it 4 years from now.
Yeah.
What would you do? You'd speak to as many people as you possibly can in those 4 years to find the best possible person to get sales training from.
Yeah, okay.
So the difference is the time frame.
Good exit.
The difference is the time frame. That's really the difference.
Yeah. No, of course, yeah. Yeah, and I think like many people are saying like you can't have a girlfriend or something like that when you have a business. I think it's like not true. I think if you have the right one, she can like elevate you and push you to have better results than you would have like alone that you would have.
I agree. Now, when you're first starting out, that's when I think it's a little bit different. So like if you're first starting, you're making $0, whatever, I don't necessarily think it's a good idea to have a girlfriend. I think it's a bad idea. And the reason why is because you don't have enough discipline yet to where you need to understand that your girlfriend is going to have emotional needs. And that's natural for any human. She's going to want to spend time with you. And if she doesn't want to spend time with you, there's something wrong with you or your relationship. Like, she should want to. And you need to have enough discipline to be able to be like, no, like, I love you and I want to spend a lot of time with you, but I can't right now because I'm building this thing. The issue is when you're first starting, you just don't have the discipline to be able to do that. Yeah. Now, later in the future, like where you or I are at, we now have enough discipline where she can be like, oh, I want to spend time with you. And it's like, no, like I can't. Like, I love you very much, but I cannot. On this weekend, whatever, I can here, you can travel, like whatever, but right now I cannot. And so at the very beginning, when you don't have that discipline, it's very easy to fall into this trap. And I see a lot of sales reps fall into it, where they're like, oh, I want to spend time with you. And then you're like, oh, okay, we can go for dinner tonight. No, motherfucker, you have 3 calls booked tonight. What do you mean I'm going to go for dinner?
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's crush the sale. Fuck girlfriend.
Fuck are we doing? So like, I do think there's a perspective to both, where at the beginning, I don't think you should have one, but then in the future, you get to a certain point where then you can. And if anything, it actually benefits you.
Yeah. When you have the discipline to focus sometimes and to have like time with her some other times, when you have this discipline, I agree, like it's a really good choice if she is the right one. Yeah.
Exactly.
Totally. I saw like a question. I think you know him, like Jack Neal. I think we can both answer the question. Like, you know what question I will ask. Okay, perfect. I think we can each other ask this question. Like, it's a pretty good question, I think. Did you ever answer this question already? Or?
No, I haven't. Actually, maybe one time, but I think it was like 4 months ago. So it'll probably change.
Perfect. Okay, so the question is, and like I think it's a very useful question, and like it tells a lot about your perspective on life, on business, everything. Andres, if all your content disappeared and you had just 60 seconds to leave a message for the world, what would you say? It
would be that the way that the world is designed, there are a couple of black sheep of people that will not fit into society, that will feel, whether it's in school, them feeling left out, whether it's with their family, them feeling like an outcast. And you have to understand that if you're in a society, you're a group of people where the average person ends up making $60,000 a year. They're poor. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have any freedom. And you don't fit into that group of people. Is that not the best thing that could possibly happen to you on this earth? That you don't fit into a group of people where the average will end up becoming a loser? Like, is that not the best possible thing that could happen to you? And so if you're in that position, 90% of them end up thinking themselves as a failure or a victim. Oh, I don't fit in. I've lost it. This is bad. But you have to think of that as an opportunity, because that is the best chance you have to actually break free of the social norm and make something of yourself in your life. That is the best chance you have, because if you felt like you fit in and like you were meant to be in the school system and go work a normal job and everything, if you felt like that's where you belonged, you would have a 0% chance of becoming that successful you. And so that's the message I would leave.
Amazing. Bro is
for
crushing
you-
it. Even the question, he's crushing the questions.
And for you now, if all your content on the entire internet and everything you've ever told somebody disappeared, and you had one message you could leave in 60 seconds, what would it be?
I would say, based on my experience, don't expect massive success if you are not willing to work massively. Like, most people stay average because they do average work. Like, they do average effort and work as much as you can. Like, if someone is launching, for example, 3 e-commerce stores, launch fucking 20 e-commerce stores. If someone will play 1 hour a week, will play 10 hours a week, and just do more work than anyone else in your industry, and you will have more success than anyone else. And something really important is use your ego. Like, you should be, I have to work more than these people. I should work more than this man, that the other salespeople. You should use your ego to say, okay, I have to work more because this person work more than me and put a lot of effort into like the business. I have to put more effort than him. Like, if he's working like 15 hours a day, I have to work 20 hours a day and maybe sleep 4 hours. Fuck, we are young. Like, work as much as you can because this is the time where you can work. So put a lot of work, show up every day, and like the success will come. Like, it will be just inevitable to happen.
I love that.
Amazing, Andres. Thanks a lot for being here. It was amazing. I think people have a lot of value now. Do you have like somewhere you want to bring people, maybe a link I can put in the description or something?
I mean, anybody can just look up my name, Andres Contreras, on Instagram, YouTube, any major platform, and then you can find me there.